I think just a quick summary of what it's meant to do. It's supposed to oversee how our tax pounds are spent. Since the Civil War, we fought a war over the idea that those who we elect should hold those who spend our money to account. It fails to do that. On Thursday, £52 billion worth of money will be put through on the nod for the education budget. There will be the most cursory examination. The idea that it does what a legislature should do, it simply doesn't. The House of Commons is a pretty indolent institution. Many of its members may claim that they're busy, but in terms of actually doing what I think a legislature is meant to do, it's pretty indolent. It's the only place I've ever worked where people say, have a good weekend to one another on a Wednesday evening. As they head home to a society that has been strangled by regulation, red tape, excessive rulemaking by the executive under governments of both parties for many years. They fail to hold the government to account for the rules that it imposes daily onto the nooks and crannies of their constituents' lives. Its timetable, the so-called sovereign parliament that we hear so much about, hasn't been able to set its own timetable for over 100 years. It has given the power away to the executive. The right of initiative, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is your next door neighbour's dog has about as much say in lawmaking as most MPs. The reality is that no MP has a real right to actually initiate, let alone actually shape, the laws that we're governed by. Members of Parliament can, if they're lucky, have their names pulled out of a hat, I believe it's still arcane enough to actually be a hat, and introduce a private member's bill, which, if they're lucky, they can discuss for a few minutes, possibly more, but the chances of them ever actually being able to materially improve the lives of their constituents by actually making or changing a law are almost negligible. The Queen's speech, which we're taught isn't written by the Queen, but is written by the Prime Minister, very little that goes into the Queen's speech, very little of the legislative programme that she unveils every year actually comes from anyone that you can elect. It is a wish list from the ruling establishment in Whitehall. The payroll is no longer simply something that determines who is and who isn't a minister. The expenses system de facto puts most of the legislature into and onto the executive payroll. There is something deeply rotten with the House of Commons. It fails to hold government to account, and as a result, power has shifted from those we elect to the Quango State.